Welcome everybody to another episode of Let's Talk ASPM. Let's Talk Application Security Posture Management. I'm your host, Lingraj Patil. And with me, I have Ali Siddiqui, who is Director of Product Security at Johnson Controls. Ali, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Raj. It's just great to be here and talking to folks and sharing my experience and my journey with you here. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, looking forward to it. So just to give a bit of a background about you before we delve into this. So my conversations with Ali was very interesting. The first time I got to know him, he shared his background. He's not from IT background, not from security. He's actually from industrial control systems, and how he got into security and how he has used his experience in the industrial control systems to build some of the most secure industrial security systems that we have out there. So that's what we will delve into. Ali, glad to have you here. And I'd like to take a couple of minutes to maybe walk our audience through your journey of how you started out with Caterpillar, through John Deere, through Honeywell, and at Johnson Controls now. Can you please walk us through that?
Absolutely. So, hello everyone. My name is Ali Siddiqui, and at my current role, like Raj said, I am the Director for Product Cybersecurity for every product that Johnson Controls designs and sells around the world. And my organization is responsible for securing it from concept to their secure product development to operations in the field up to end of life, the whole life cycle of the product. Having said that, I was not always a cybersecurity or product cybersecurity person. My journey started out of college with automotive control systems, so I designed a lot of low-level control systems for cars and electronics in that way. And then later I joined Caterpillar as a control system communication system engineer. And my job was to write the protocols that how multiple controllers in a machine come together and accomplish the function they need to perform. Eventually, I led the all group that designed control communication for everything Caterpillar makes. This was around 2013 when after Stuxnet came out in 2010 with nuclear reactors of Iran's national program for nuclear that was destroyed. Everybody knows that story. But in 2013, President Obama issued an executive order to protect the nation's critical infrastructure. And as part of that, they put a bunch of different industries, and you can imagine healthcare, energy sector, transportation sector, whether air, sea, or land transportation, all these different into that category. And the directive was, we need to do something to secure these critical infrastructure of the nation. And as it turned out, Caterpillar played in most of those industries. Most people know Caterpillar by the machinery and construction machine, because that's what we see day-to-day life.
Yeah.
But actually, it's a power system company in a bigger way. They provide power, mechanical, electrical, whatever. So anyway, they played in that industry, and everything they sold for the most part were already cloud connected and monitored through applications and cloud in those days, in 2013. And immediately after this executive order, the customers, like oil companies or power companies or ship operators and locomotive operators, they started asking, hey, Caterpillar, you have all these equipment connected to the cloud through internet. Is it secure? Should we be worried about this? And fast forward, the company, by default, when anybody in a control systems or engineering, at that time, when they heard about cybersecurity, where did they go? IT organization under CISO. And they went the same way. And what happened there is CISO said, yep, I'll give you, a couple of my security experts and they'll help you. That didn't work out very well because it's a very steep, a long learning curve for a career IT person to get into understanding how the machinery works, how the control systems are made out, what kind of communication protocols are used. It's different. So that went to a shaky start. So one of the heads in Caterpillar, their idea was that, hey, let's try other way around. Let's find who is the most known expert in the company for control systems and control communication. And that's how my name bubbled up to them. And they came and offered me the job. They said, hey, would you be willing to learn cybersecurity? You already know this. Cybersecurity. What is cybersecurity? The only cybersecurity I know is how to set a password on my Wi-Fi router at home. That's all I knew. Why are you recruiting me? They said, hey, you take the job, you'll learn. And that's how I got into, cybersecurity. And obviously the motivation was protecting those critical infrastructure. And I was actively working on offshore oil rig, onshore, your oil platforms or drilling platform, gas compressor stations, locomotives, and transportation system over the sea. So, that worried me also. And that was my motivation to get into protecting those critical assets where it is so important to have the cyber safe critical infrastructure. This is not just somebody stealing your information or selling your information, misusing your financial system. This is about actual life and people and property damage if things are treated by cyber. So that's what motivated me to come to this industry. I helped Caterpillar. We quickly realized that the existing IT cybersecurity programs were not going to work for engineering and control systems because of the difference in IT system and control systems. And that led to us developing a brand new product security program parallel to IT security program in the company over 2 years.
Yeah.
And then later I moved to, Honeywell, where they had fairly established product security program that I got to learn and saw what a good program should look like.
Yeah.
And the journey continued with John Deere again. And then last 4 years in Johnson Controls and running a program that is recognized as the industry best through ISS.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, that's quite a journey here. And you have helped protect a lot of big companies, very well-known companies here. So tell me why product security in your mind, right? How is product security different in this industrial control systems and these big companies that you talked about? How is it different than, let's say, a financial services industry or a healthcare industry?
Two major differences, Raj. You named financial or healthcare industry. One of the big differences, those industries are heavily regulated, right? Which means most of the things that you need to do, government tells you what to do and how to do, right?
Right.
In financial industry, and that's the biggest motivator for cybersecurity programs and anything is aligned to that, reporting and making sure you're compliant. There is similarity, especially healthcare industry and industrial control systems, because they use embedded systems. You have in healthcare machines that are injecting life support things in your patients, and that's how you will go to life safety. But for the most part, other industries are not purely driven by regulations. It's a lot of things are driven by safety aspect of people and property, and that's one difference I think big. The second thing, just the technology architecture wise, is different. Right? In financial industry, for example, you're dealing with a lot of information and data, and information is the most important industry. In control systems, obviously, it's a cyber physical asset, software that drives some big either machinery, an oil rig, your locomotive on the track, being a floating vessel that is carrying your cargo. Right. So that's one of the big things. And what it drives to is, it is absolutely critical that in a lot of control system industry, your availability becomes bigger concern. So in our CI, typical, cybersecurity, confidentiality, integrity, availability. Confidentiality is important, but availability becomes paramount. You see in the information systems, confidentiality comes first, usually highest priority. So there are certain differences, and then obviously the type of technology, more embedded, more real-time operating system. There are controllers that are without operating system. You still have to protect, and they have software in it. So those differences make a little bit.
All right, awesome. Yeah, so seeing your journey so far, if you were to talk about 3 top challenges, in some ways, I think you articulated already. Now, coming specifically to the job that you do, right? The 3 top challenges in securing those products. What would those be?
I think if you ask, it's interesting you're asking 3. So I will bucketize them in terms of people, process, and technology and tooling, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about, number 1, people. One of the big challenge that I have noticed throughout my journey of doing product security from scratch is traditionally the product side of people, they're not cyber by design. I wrote control systems protocol, and cybersecurity was never a requirement. Requirement was it has to be deterministic, time bound. Every time it is supposed to do, it does what it's supposed to do within the time bound.
Correct. Yeah. It has to do with this at a particular minute or a second or a millisecond.
Yeah.
That's what the focus is on, but not so much on security aspects.
So that's one thing that dealing with people and changing mindset had been one of the biggest challenge for in terms of my journey going through product cybersecurity, and most of the product cybersecurity we put that as top or near top is that mindset. Engineers, traditional control system industry, their mind and their trains, their focus is on functionality and reliability, safety, quality, those aspects. Security is new to the industry. 10 years ago, when I got into this, there was not a lot of conference or program or training that was doing for cybersecurity of industrial controls.
Yeah.
So it's fairly new. So that's been one of the biggest challenges, to get people incentivized to change the way they think about cybersecurity. And it's not an easy challenge. It takes a lot of careful persuasion.
Yeah.
And data-driven, you have to align them to, you can't go as a police to most engineers and say, oh, I'm a cyber guy, you have to do this. It doesn't work. Engineers always find a way around it.
Yeah.
You have to approach them, align the cybersecurity to either human safety or what you are protecting. In my case, in Johnson Control, we do a lot of automation and security, physical security system for our schools. When we go to engineer, we tell them, think about the kids. Don't think about your HVAC or your door lock controller. Think about the kids. That's what at stake. So connect them to what you are protecting, physical cyber asset, and the people, the safety aspect. And I take, and then we always talk about customers. Protection is not about some information in our control or a financial law. We're talking about customers, human loss, property loss. And I think that makes job a little bit, easier to put that into perspective. So that's one big challenge, the people side, Raj. The process side, again, as I alluded to when I got first into product cybersecurity with Caterpillar, there was IT security program, the Fortune 100 company. They had, some of the best IT security programs you'll find around the world. But that did not align to doing product security. The terms, a lot of things didn't match what we do in control systems. So I think it's important to have right set of policies that are purpose-built, aligned to your industry. And there are industry nowadays, we have some prominent industry standards that industrial control industry like IEC 62443, for example, most of the oil, gas, power plants and other heavy industry, they align to that standard. So you have to design a program with the right set of policy, standards, your procedures work, and supported by your right tools. So that's my third point. The tool. You can't just assume that the most famous and most popular security tool that's out there that does security will do for your control systems or products. You have to find sometimes, we have done it. We have ended up partnering and using tools that were very new. Right? These niche companies which are focused on, firmware scanning, for example. And we partnered them, we helped them grow along the way, but you have to go a little bit out of the beaten path on the tool.
Got it. Okay. All right. That's awesome. So I think you kind of blended your challenges as well as the solutions to it, right? Now, coming to the technology aspects of it. So one thing that we have seen now happen, Ali, is that there is a proliferation of scanners. There are scanners, you name them, you have them like SAS, TAS, pen testing, RAST, right? So how do you, and they all look at finding vulnerabilities in different parts of the code or the product, right? And then you need to make sense of what's really important, what's not important, because obviously you do not have an infinite amount of resources. You have limited resources. So how do you handle that overwhelming number of vulnerabilities coming at you on multiple products? Especially in your case, it gets multiplied many times over. You probably have hundreds of products, right? It's not like you have one or maybe 10 products. You have hundreds of products with different form factors. So how do you make sense of this complexity across products and across these scanners?
And that's right, Raj. Hundreds of products with thousands of components, and each of them released, some of them monthly, quarterly. Right? So it's a lot of products, a lot of releases. And you are right, because, in connected and smart industrial products. You have hardware, you have cloud components, you have mobile apps, you have web apps, everything you can imagine in universe in terms of technology platform.
Yeah.
And you're right, not knowing one scanner or even two scanners can cover every type of software that we deal with. So that has been traditionally a huge problem. Like during your SDLC stage, you do, like you say, SaaS, software composition analysis, security scanning, other type of scan, like for open source analysis, all these things we do, right? There are multiple tools to do the activity. And then again, once you put the product out, it is a hosted product, then you have DaaS solutions that are monitoring your cloud environment, whether infrastructure, application, configuration of Kubernetes. Nowadays, everything is managed through Kubernetes and smart dynamic management. So it is a big problem that we have dealt with finally in the last few years. And, one of the pioneers, ArmorCode, this concept of having an application security orchestration platform, or ASPM part, or whatever many people call it different. But
right,
having that platform that brings all these vulnerabilities and issues and misconfigurations and whatever we call it, findings under one pane of glass.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes your life easier in terms of visualizing and then correlating. You might have the same scene flagged by your SaaS tool and the DaaS tool.
Correct.
And this gives you opportunity through like ArmorCode and platform like ArmorCode gives that opportunity for you to have that correlation with automation. At least it gives an engineer a starting point where to look in terms of solution, not at the problem, because engineers don't like given 100 problems to solve. They would like, tell me what I need to do to fix 100 problems.
Correct. Exactly.
So that's where I think pioneers in the industry like ArmorCode, and there is a lot of other people are focused in this direction. It's not just, but we are exposed to, we've deployed ArmorCode, we use it. I think it's an awesome initiative, and with further maturity, we see this platform becoming even more important, just in terms of not just ingesting and having everything at one place, visualizing it or reporting it or dashboarding it, but I think taking it next level further is driving your work instructions and workflow from tools like ArmorCode, centralized place. And then, further maturity will be having that correlation and remediation eventually. And so I think this journey has been great for us, and ArmorCode has been helpful in getting that mumbo jumbo and chicken gumbo, everything back together.
All right, happy to help. You've been a great partner in this journey. You've been second or maybe even third year now into the product adoption, and you're guided so much in terms of the product development itself, right? So I appreciate the partnership here. So what I found very interesting, one of the things that you mentioned is there are hundreds of products with thousands of components, and each one of them different form factors, maybe different requirements on them. No one scanner, no one type of scanner, let's even if SaaS, right? No one SaaS scanners will work across all these different product lines. You need to have a different SaaS for different, because based on what that particular scanner focuses on. So there is this debate that goes on between having a governance layer separate from the scanner layer. So what's your view on that particular point of view? Do you have a view on that?
I think that is a great point and great perspective. You have that layer of separation where you get engineers and developers a place where they can go and quickly, farthest left possible, find the issue, work them, fix them, fix them.
Yeah.
And we have implemented similar strategy. We have different scanners that will scan as soon as somebody branches out, a component code. As soon as they branch out in their repo, it will get scanned way far left. And that gives them chance to immediately catch that, hey, even before I started developing, I know that these are the things security-wise I need to upgrade this library because it has needs, right? That's great. Yeah. But there is separation from that activity to the governance. like you mentioned. Governance is, I'll give you time as a developer to work and fix until it's time to release, right?
Yeah.
At the release time, that's when governance comes in. And at that point, I don't want to scan your individual files or pieces of your product. I want to scan and find out the security status of the build artifacts already after the build. Everything, okay, whether you have dynamically linking libraries or static linking of external library, everything should be included. And that's the governance layer. And then, to do this, obviously you need an orchestration tool because you have to have centralized view. Because I in my organization, we approve release a product. We don't approve release of a scan result. We don't. So I need to have that view, single pane of glass view of the product in order to make that determination whether this is a release ready. I think that underscores again, importance of a centralized ASOC or ASPM platform that would help you do that. Have the view of the product, not just individualistic.
Right. And how has that made a difference in terms of maybe before and after, right? So there was obviously like before this. So just in terms of impact, do you have a sense of what kind of before and after you have seen?
Definitely, you already alluded to when you started the question about the scanner. Right? We might be using half a dozen different types of scanners and a couple more manual like pen testing activity. It also finds findings and vulnerability. And before this centralized orchestration platform, we will have security architects that are going in individual scan tools, trying to find remediation, and then create individual tickets, and then have to work another layer where they bring all these tickets against a product team and look at that. Oh, these two look same. I have to fix it exactly same thing. So they'll have to merge for example, Jira tickets, right? Jira tickets together manually, and then give the developer what needs to be done. And imagine the amount of work. And, you're multiplying that, like you said, hundreds of products, thousands of components, and we have a very limited number of security architects. And those are hard to find people, especially product security architects are even harder to find people with some kind of product development experience and security. So, that was a huge thing for us to cut down on that manual effort of, correlating findings from different tools and from reporting upward perspective, it was so difficult for me to give my CTO a picture of risk and vulnerability for a product or a product team. Now with centralized ASPM tool, it's a button click away. I can report my CTO that hey, the product line or a specific product, or even go to the component level. I can provide report that here is the risk score, here is the vulnerability count, here is where we are missing SLAs on fixing things, or we're meeting SLAs, good, bad, everything. It's tremendous in terms of not just the cost saving and time saving, but frustration.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I can feel that. I'm like, you explained it really well. Just the level of detail that developers had to go through, or even the security teams had to go through to find the problems that really matter. And when you have hundreds of products, thousands of components, now we are essentially dealing with maybe hundreds of thousands of vulnerabilities. And many of them are duplicates, many of them are related, many of them are not even priorities, right? Right. So then maybe hundreds of thousands to maybe it comes down to maybe hundreds or maybe thousands that you really need to work on. Right. So in terms of the relationship between the security teams and the developers, so how do you think a platform like ASPM helps you ease, because it can be fraught with a lot of friction if not handled properly? How do you think that has helped?
So I tell people about this. Here is what happens usually. Security team runs these scans and they have tooling and, everything. And they'll have hundreds of thousands sometimes and sometimes tens of thousands for same product, right?
Yeah.
These vulnerabilities or issues or findings, whatever we like to call them, depending on which tool created it.
Correct.
And security team, and this happens a lot, that, security folks will generate these things with a lot of details from the tool and just dump it over as tickets. 100 tickets, 1,000 tickets to developer. Now, the poor developer, not having security background necessarily, they're developers, they know products, they know what they're writing in terms of functionality, and their domain knowledge, not necessarily security experts. And on top of that, you're giving them like this many and plethora of list of issues. And I think that creates frustration, eventually resentment in terms of fixing them. And they'll try to go around or go above to complain. And that's what you're mentioning, the friction that creates. I think a tool like this, tool like ArmorCode or ASPM tool, where you can take that is rather than giving developers a list of security issues or findings or CV, you go away from doing that to giving them what do they need to actually do to fix those. So I'll give you an example. Software composition, among anybody AppSec.
Yeah.
And nowadays, about 80 to 90% of our software is built from open source components or outside components. And every component over time, security researchers find issues that are reported as CVEs.
Yeah.
Now, you have a product that got scanned by a software composition analysis tool, generated. You got 4 components with CVEs, and total number of CVEs are 700. One component has 300, one component has 200, and so forth, so on, right? I would like to give developers now, instead of 700 tickets, I'll give 4 tickets and say, update this component to this version, update that component to this version. And those 4 tickets, they find it. There is no friction. They know what needs to be done to fix these vulnerabilities. You might be able to tell them that, hey, you're fixing 400 vulnerabilities by doing this activity, which will they can align the accomplishment. But this makes it so easy for them. Like, I'm focusing on what I need to do rather than understanding security jargon.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the sense of accomplishment is just huge. Fix this and that 400 of them are just disappear in terms of vulnerabilities, right? So I think that's fantastic. So, Ali, I know you have had a very diverse experience, and you brought control systems experience into security. So looking forward, where do you see product security going, and what do you think is the vision, like maybe 5 years from now? Where do you see?
I think there is a couple of areas, Raj, and this most people have eye on these couple of things I'm going to state here. Number one is we're already on it, is decentralized ASOC ASPM platform. That what you call the governance layer, separated from scanners at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
I think that is absolutely something that every company, every AppSec program need to consider and seriously invest into, because that will make it much more easy to work cybersecurity. That's one area I think it will continue to grow. The second, next level in the same realm, we see with the advent and proliferation of AI technologies, I think AI-backed and AI-enabled triaging, correlation, and prioritization security issues and security finding. I think that's going to be absolutely awesome. There is a lot of startups and new companies we hear that they're focused on doing this very thing, including ArmorCode. ArmorCode is heavily focused on AI-based, AI-enabled, AI-backed triaging, correlation, and prioritization of issues. I mean that's one area. The second thing, again, I think AI is starting to make us look over the horizon. The other thing I have is over the horizon, which is next to next level. Auto fixing your vulnerability, using AI as an assistant.
Right.
Will take some time to automatically fix without the developer's intervention. But I think the more likely and more natural progression will be that AI becomes an assistant to the developer in fixing security issues. So it starts suggesting them that, hey, you got this issue, and this is how you can fix it, and I'm going to give you a code snippet or suggestion, and you click button and it fixes. You still are in control, but I get an assistant. I think those areas will absolutely we see growth in next few years, and we're looking forward to that as security professionals. Definitely make our life easier.
Yeah, you're spot on. My view of the feature also aligns with what you're saying. The separation as a governance layer that actually simplifies the outputs coming from different scanners and one that separates from them, I think absolutely will be there in the future. And AI has a huge role to play, both in terms of creating problems in the first place and then also fixing those problems in the second place, right? So from correlation, parameterization to actually remediation and having humans in the loop to fix it, that's absolutely the feature we are already seeing that implemented in ArmorCode itself, right? Some of that feature is already now that's happening. And I'd love to see your journey. Maybe 6 months from now or a year from now, Ali, we probably will be having a very different conversation about how your life has changed because of the things that you just mentioned that will come to fruition, right? So so I look forward to another session with you. But for now, I see that we are at the end of our time here. Ali, thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining. There's a ton that I learned from just listening to your journey and what you are doing to secure our experiences on many of these industrial control systems or even regular control systems that we use on a daily basis. Walking into a building, there's a control system, there's a fire sprinkler automatic, there is an access system, there's an HVAC, all those things that we take it for granted. But you say the consequences of not securing them could really be life and death sometimes, right? So thanks for all the innovation that you are bringing to this space.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to talk to you, Raj, and pleasure to share my experiences, my background, and whatever people can get from it, and audiences. Absolutely, and we'll get together again.
Yeah, all right. Sounds good.
All right.
Talk to you later.
All right, take care. Bye.